Hey guys, how's it going? Can you hear me? The power is out in my house. And because the power is out in my house, I am stealing Wi-Fi from a business park by our house. But if it's bad enough, I will try to use the data stream too. But I'm curious how this Wi-Fi is. How do I sound, look? Is it garbled? Let me know. And how's everybody doing, by the way? Nano Aquarium guy, good to see you. Jubilution, good to see you. J Rock, what up? 40 Years Fish, hey, how's it going? Um, let's see, how's it looking with me? Hey Laura, how's it going too with you? Oh yeah, cool. You got a hex and a bow front that needs setting up. Right on, Ian. Cool. Um, yeah, the cool thing about them is all right, well we'll go. The light will turn off in a sec. Sorry about the terrible background. But I'm gonna give it a try here. We're on this main highway and it is a shady part of town. So if I drive or something, just ignore it. I'm getting away from people. We have like a homeless encampment of about 200 people here, about a block away, and they just frequently will come up and bang on the window and stuff. But I think the Wi-Fi is pretty decent on this one, where I'm parked, and I do frequent their business. It's a little diner, so they said I could do it. So, pardon the hideous background and the terrible lighting, but this is more of an audio episode, anyways, because we're going to be talking about and answering any questions about what to do with those weird shape aquariums. What do you do with a hexagon? What do you do with a tall hexagon? I mean, that's a challenge. You get it, you think it's cool, and it seems like a good idea. What do you do with the bow front? How do you clean it? How do you want to set it up? And then, kind of most importantly to me, how do you plant it and make sure that it's a balanced tank, that you don't have a tank that the substrate's going bad way too early, that can happen, or that you just can't see any of the fish ever because they're always in the back of the hexagon. Those kind of things. I mean, there's kind of a reason why the very best tanks for looking at fish are going to be like a 20 long, or a 55. Now a 55 isn't deep enough that your fish have as much room to swim around and things like that, so you do want to balance like the volume with what your fish need and the viewing that you want to do. So if you want angelfish and discus, don't get a hex tank. I mean, they work in there, but to see them in there, I don't think it serves them justice, honestly. I think that you should get something where they can swim back and forth. If you get Danios, like Kythit Danios, Fire Ring Danios, Gold Ring Danios, those sorts of things, um, I wouldn't put them in that tank either, because they don't have enough room for the volume, because unless it's really big, like 75 gallons and up, then you get into the territory where it doesn't really matter that your tank's a weird shape. You can use any weird shape tank, and your fish have enough room that they'll figure it out, that kind of thing for the most part. But over the years, I've had hexagon tanks, bow fronts, and if you don't know what a bow front is, just so we're all on the same page, it's that one. Wait, this one. With the bowed out front, and kind of it's like a rectangle with one side of bow front. Hey, what's up, Shanna? What's up, 3G? Nature Aquariums. Lots of good folks coming in. Mo Fish, Michelle, what's up? Zach, what's up? Randy, how's it going? Son of Quack, Ray Cooper, Filigree, Kenneth Steel Valley, Cichlids, what's up? Oh, you got my coloring book? Right on. uh Sweet. You got, wait, I got your coloring book. Only two had been colored. So Stephanie, hey, write me, Canisteo. Now I'm really curious what that meant. And Xanadu, what's up? How is everybody? Starhawk, Nigel. Okay, we got everyone rolling in now. All right, so back to tanks. Lonnie, hello also. Josh, hello also. Um, I think for Mix, the tall hex tank. Michelle, thank you so much for this $2 super chat. You are my hero. I appreciate it. And I like that you guys are Regina, hello. I like that Craig, man, everyone's rolling in here now. I like that everybody's giving love to one another too. So great community and good to see everyone. And Dirty Farmhand, always love the name. Okay, so I think that the hexagon is the most challenging of the different shapes that you could be dealing with. That's just my personal opinion. And I want to address the thing that maybe people don't think about. I mean, it's easy to overlook. Ian, you still haven't gotten the color, you didn't get the other ones either? Oh wow. Okay, message me. I apparently, so I have coloring books that I sell, and apparently the post office and media mail has lost everything. I'm gonna have to send it another way if that's oh, okay, Ames. Got it. Got it. Because I sent Ian one and it got lost, and then I sent another one, and I sounds like that one got lost too. So, man, that's enraging to me. Sorry. And I'm sorry to hear about that, but we'll talk. All right. So the the hexagon aquarium, people oftentimes 90 gallon 90 gallon 90 gallon acrylic half hex tank. So a half hex, that's a triangle, right? Three sides? No, I know what you're talking about. Those are interesting too. Same with like corner tanks. That corner tanks, great for if you want like a school of fish. I think that's what works best, honestly, is you get a couple showfish. So maybe, I mean, if it's 75 gallons, sure, get angelfish, get whatever you want. That's medium size to small. But if it, yeah, a trapezoid tank, yeah. A rhombus. I don't know. There's variations of those. But I would say that you can probably get away with most fish, like in the anything you'd kind of find at the big box stores, other than red tail catfish, bala sharks, rainbow sharks. Maybe Denison barbs probably shouldn't, unless you're like in the 100-gallon area, probably, because you want to have like 5 or 6 of those. But the thing is, your panels, when you have a hexagon tank, especially if it's small, if it's 30 gallons, if it's 30 or under, really, that's kind of the cutoff. I think there's a 50 version and a 60 version. But for the 30 gallons, for the 20 gallons, the thing is, you're splitting up, instead of having really one glass that you look through, maybe 2, 3 if you're real ambitious, or in a rectangular tank, most people realistically have it against the wall or in a corner or in a line with racks. And so you're looking through one glass primarily, and that's the front glass, which is one of the long sides generally with the biggest surface area. Well, you still have a whole lot of surface area. In fact, you have more surface area the more sides you have. So for all the volume you have, the more sides you add, the more surface area you have, because you're getting closer to a sphere, and if you have a sphere, essentially, I mean, it's way more than that, it's infinite, but it's essentially 360 sided tank, or maybe 180, and then the other axis is 180, but you get the point. There's all these, it would look like a disco ball, if you built it out of flat glass. But one thing you need to think about when you do that is cleaning and what kind of light you have. If the tank is deep, you really want to plan your plants carefully. I'm very pro plant in aquariums, and I'm also, I understand when people don't want plants for cichlids and things like that, or maybe like earth eaters and something like that. You'd want to do more of like a biotope or some driftwood and some sand and big rocks. Doesn't work well in a hex. The only way to go, in my opinion, on any of the tanks that are tall and not many gallons is you got to give up some of those gallons and get a branch basically going up at an angle all the way through your tank. Or you need a pile of rocks going up at least halfway, because you're not going to get use out of that top water by most species other than top loving species. But then you get no use out of the bottom 2/3, 3/4, whatever it is of your tank. And so when you get a tall tank like that, the most important thing when you're stocking it and planting the plants and everything is you want to get a tank loaded stock wise with for sure fish that like that middle water, that like that top water, and that like the bottom water, and maybe a few wanderers. I consider guppies kind of wanderers. They usually hang out up top, but if the top's crowded with like pencil fish or like a marble hatchet fish or other hatchet fish, silver hatchet fish, then they frequently will work their way down into that that level. And then the other thing is, when you have a really tall tank, you also do have the option of not filling it all the way. Now, a lot of people don't like how that looks, but the other thing you can do there is you can buy ledges. And the other thing you can do is you can get false rock for like plastic rock and things like that, and you can always cut it in half or whatever. I suggest, if you don't know what it is, look into getting a hot knife for cutting. It's basically like a wire or a blade that heats up like a toaster filament, and you can cut that. You cut through things like butter that are like plastic or styrofoam or whatever. The other thing is you can make rocks out of styrofoam and spray them with a clear coat and then paint and then another clear coat. You just have to get the right kind of paint, otherwise it just melts the styrofoam into goo. But you can do that and then paint it to look like rocks and cut out shapes and that aren't heavy, but they will take a little bit of space volume wise for water. But you can then put those on the side, and with styrofoam you can literally just cram in sticks and cut holes, for plants. And so you can make ledges, and I've seen that look okay. But again, to me it feels a little cluttered. It feels a little less than natural. It kind of looks like a climbing wall or something. And so I think that the best way to do that is probably to have that a large stick in the center or diagonally, and then the plants that will grow very tall. So I think when you're planting that, might as well do a deep substrate. Deep substrate's not going to hurt anything, and for the most part, it's generally a good thing. So I like to do, let's say we're doing a 30-gallon hex. This is like what I would do to set up any 30-gallon hex. Is I would do a good 2 or 3 inches of coarse gravel. Then I would do the fine like aquarium gravel. Then I would do probably 2 to 3 inches of aquarium soil, and then cap it with 1 inch of sand, basically. So you got a big base there because you've got that leniency. And you can also then know that your plants can have really deep roots. Chase, what's up? And really deep roots, and it is important to have stem plants, in my opinion, in these tall and weird shaped tanks, especially the tall ones. But you're gonna have a hard time with the light. Almost everybody who buys those tanks, they usually come in a kit. Unless you're getting it secondhand. And those kits never come with good enough light, in my opinion. I would get a Fluval 3.0 or better. You can get spotlights. If you don't have the budget for a 3.0, get a Cree LED. I have a series of videos called Let There Be Light. It's 3 live streams, and they're really in depth about all the lights I've tried and the prices, and there's links in the description if you want to buy any. But if you get, Cree is a manufacturer of diodes for LEDs, so you'll see a lot of off brands that'll say like Zingtogia or whatever, you know, or instead of like Yamaha, it'll be like Yakima, and it'll have Cree LED though, their logo, which is usually a green little square. Those diodes are on really high-end stuff too. The diodes themselves are really good, and you can use those from a floodlight that you are doing in like for Home Depot or Lowe's, like for that you'd be using outside. Get 2 of those and a glass top, and that will put out as much light as a Fluval 3.0 or a Twin Star, or almost as much as like the 88 pendant light or a Kessel pendant light, but you don't have the fine controls of anything. You could get a power throttler for the switch, for the power outlet, I guess, but that only really dims it. And a lot of times with LEDs, that when you slow it down, one thing to note is you can't take good pictures of your fish or video because it starts strobing and you get the rolling shutter effect. So just a side note, when you turn down LEDs, sometimes they don't turn down the brightness, they turn down how quickly they flash, because all LEDs strobe, and most go at 200 or 300 times a second, yeah, is this a second? Yeah. And the old ones used to do like 3 or 4 times a second, like really terrible. And you turn your head quickly and it was like a strobe light. It was real bad. Like real old ones. But just a note of caution there. I mean, that's one way they save energy too, but get a good light and then make a good deep substrate. Plan out to have root tabs, and also I like that big 3-inch area of gravel, because one, you've got the vertical space, true with bow fronts that are tall, true with a column tank that's tall, and you know, then you've got that ability for all the mulm and stuff for years and years to just go down and get built up in between those coarse rocks, and all it's going to do is break down into soil, essentially. I mean, more soil. And if you've got that sand cap too, and you don't have digging fish, then you're fine. If you have a digging fish, then the other nice thing about these tall tanks is you could do a bottom layer of all plant, you know, nutrient enriched substrate. So Fluval Stratum or ADA or Eco Complete or any of those, Brightwell stuff, and you could then put like 3 or 4 inches of sand over it, and they can still, and you've still, even with a 7-inch substrate, you've still got room to have fish above it, plenty. And it kind of looks nice. I mean, it almost looks like a stand for the tank. You can sometimes develop cyanobacteria and things like that people don't like the look of, but to me, it doesn't matter that much. The cyano growth, honestly, I personally don't mind it. I know many people do though. But yeah, so that for a hex tank, that's kind of what I would do for the substrate. Now, there's also weird tanks that are like Lowboy tanks. And Lowboy tanks, I feel like I don't really need to tell you guys that much about those. They're pretty incredible for aquascaping. You can do immersed plants. And when you do immersed plants, it is essentially, it's the same thing as having CO2. Because once your plants get into the atmosphere, when they can breathe the air, you know, they're getting CO2, they're getting trace elements, they're getting their you know, their respiration and transpiration they're able to do with much less effort. And same with light. Every 6 inches, I believe it is, underwater, your UV index gets cut in half, like your sunburn potential, basically. But for photosynthesis, that's no good. So if you have a 3-foot deep cylinder tank, or bow front or whatever, you really need to blast it with light. You need fish that like a small surface area if it's a small tank, and also like bright light. That's kind of a tall order. A lot of surface dwelling fish like planted floating plants, and they like to hide under them. Killifish, like clown killies or rocket killies, they're a great one, like space wise and everything, and they look cool, but they don't want to be in the blaring sun without any cover. And if you put floating plants in those tanks, you're going to have barely any light at the bottom. So the other hack or thing you can do is you can shine a light midway through the back of the tank and mount it against your wall at an angle, especially if it's in the corner of a room or something, which a lot of those cylinders are. And Kay says, what a topic. Had a darn tall hexagon tank with not enough light. Yeah. That's why you really want to lay the groundwork for all this stuff. You really want to do that when you're setting the tank up, because especially deep tanks, you're going to be shoulder, like if you're a tall person, you're going to be all the way arms deep. I mean, if you're 6 feet tall, you've got give or take 3.5 feet, something like that, reach from your hand. And so if you're smaller than that, if you're 5'2", 5'5", you're probably only going to have like a 2.5 foot reach at best. And that you can really grasp stuff with. And so you want to think about that a little bit, like the big rocks, things like that. Maybe you want to do that. I like to put the biggest rocks in only after I've put water in, and I do it carefully. And then that the way the water helps me, it helps assist me settle things. So I do the substrate and then I do the hardscape on those tanks. But when you're in a really narrow tank, like a Hexagon 30 is the one that comes to mind over and over. You kind of, those ones are rounder where you can kind of build up a mound in the center a bit. If it's a big hexagon that's short, then the rules don't really apply what I'm talking about. So really we're talking about tall tanks that are awkwardly tall and not enough gallons to have the volume to be wide also. And just the looks of things though, you want to look in your when you look through your aquascape, in my opinion, it's good to have your hardscape at least go to 2/3 as high as the tank is, like minimum. That's my aesthetic choice. In aquascaping, rule of thirds kind of thing, that's really what you would want from the main angle you view it from. At least one, and with the hex, you might be viewing it from a few angles or a sphere. And it gets really tricky. So spheres, you really just need to treat those like a goldfish bowl or like a bowl. And for those, I just basically turn them into a dome by just putting a ton of substrate in. Because there's going to be an awkward point if you're using a tank they make these old school ones that are literally round, like just a perfect sphere. And they're like 20 gallons, like big spheres. They were kind of the rage in like the 70s, but they're really awkward for a lot of fish because one, your substrate takes up a chunk. Yes, you could fill it to the top, but then you can't have top loving fish or any fish that come up for air. And usually it depends on how the tank opens and all that, but maintenance is very frustrating because if you're scraping algae, you've got these curved surfaces that you have to reach down below the lip, and usually it's an opening not that big, and then you have to kind of curve. So there are some really good tools out there that you can get like that, and that will really help you cleaning too. So I mean, that's the other thing is when you get these weird tanks, don't forget that there's extra costs that kind of come with buying these things. So yeah, let's see here. Looking at the questions real quick. I'm waiting for it to be a really abstract play on the oddball tank thing. Yeah, you're missing a stream from my vehicle, Regina, because the power went out in our neighborhood. So I have no Wi-Fi, obviously. And then my phone died. So I've been sitting here with my camping, like the thing that hooks up to my car battery that is an outlet. So I came and I tried to steal some internet from a cafe up the road from my house. And I know it's pretty janky, and I apologize, but I think it's better internet than my house has had lately, sadly. Let's see here. Oh, Jubilition says, I'm not even close to 6 feet. Yeah, so it makes it tough to get into those deep tanks. You definitely need a strong handled device. Now, I bought this thing. I can't get to it. It's in my it's like under my truck, kind of like on a little clip, but it's a grabber thing with a trigger, and it actually has you can pull. It's got two triggers in the sense that you can hold down this little piece. It's like a safety trigger on a Glock. If you're a gun person, you know what I'm talking about. But you pull one trigger to grab, and then if you get the little trigger too, then it actually ratchets it into different angles. But you can use things like that. They've got little grabber things, and they've also got tools like that that you can special order for that have magnetic heads on them, and that or that have tool bit heads on them. So then you can buy something like a Phillips head screwdriver a adjuster or cap, and then you can go to Petco and get the little sponge that's angled, like for scrubbing. That's like a Brillo pad type thing, and you can actually take that Phillips head and put it into one of those magnetic things. That some of them too are also similar to the if you've ever seen like at a doctor's office, they've got the lights for like colonoscopies and stuff, where they're like a metal cord that you can adjust, kind of like desk lamps, like a gooseneck lamp that adjusts. Um, so yeah, let's see here. The other thing, I saw someone ask about the aquascaping contest, and the aquascaping contest is just cruising along. I need to talk to Alan. I have had a lot of people mentioning that they could use a little more time than August 10th, which right now is the end date. And so I'm open to that. I don't know if Alan and then also Madrill. I don't know if Mridgel is up for that. As far as, I mean, we wanted it to be a little hard, but we wanted you to learn, and then it's, it's still going to make you happy because you'll still have it growing. Hopefully this is going to be, you can have it for another year, a few years. But if everyone's feeling that vibe, leave a comment after this stream, come back, leave a comment, and just kind of check in, because we have 86 people involved, and I'm really curious to see how this ends up. Also, Danikin, if you're still here, buddy, Kenny, thank you so much for the super chat. I just got notified about that, but I see the timestamp, so I realized it's late. And then let's see here. Yeah, plecos are an interesting choice to come to think of plecos in a hex tank, especially if it's like the 55 or 70 gallon or what, some bigger size than 30. The 30 gallon you can have one or two in, but I wouldn't do more. Plecos make they make a lot of waste. They make a lot of mulm, a lot of curly Q poop, and unless you're doing coarse gravel and just letting the mulm accumulate and doing lots of water changes, because if you guys watch my video on gravel vacuuming, that's one that I would really suggest you watch, because a lot of people with these weird shaped tanks are like, well, how am I going to gravel vac? And I say, don't even start. You can use gravel vac to get up dead fish and plants, but let the mulm build up in between the cracks in your substrate, whether that's an aqua soil. Those little pieces get broken down. The thing is, you need primary decomposers, and you need secondary decomposers and tertiary decomposers, which means, you know, you want a big meat-eating fish or omnivorous fish, and then you want maybe a catfish, like, you know, scavenger fish, and then you want another fish like a plant-eating or algae-eating fish, and then lastly you're going to want snails and shrimp, ideally. And finally, if you really want to have a good balanced tank, it's so important in my mind to get the little bugs, to get the little Daphnia, to get the planaria. I know nobody likes planaria, but they do eat anything. And if you don't overfeed your tanks, if you are sparing with your food, the planaria won't be a problem, especially in a tall tank, because they live in the substrate in the day usually. So there's nowhere for them to go in such a small surface area base. Now, if you're doing freshwater jellyfish, that's a whole different thing, and you do need special. Usually, you need a power filter or a power head. It's going to push water, like a helix, basically, or in a circular motion, like a washing machine or something, because jellyfish, the way they move, otherwise they get stuck in the corner of the tank. So that's why they have those. But I've noticed that I've seen a lot of tanks up for sale, and then there's no mention that they were for jellyfish. And I could see where someone would say, "Oh, it's a funky tank. I want that sphere tank." And they buy this narrow tank that's like maybe a foot across, sphere, and like 4 or 5 feet tall, and it was for jellyfish. That's it. I mean, very specifically designed, and that's why those tanks exist. It's also why some of the orbs or spheres, whatever you want to call them, exist, or archway tanks. Alex, I have hard brown diatom developing on aquarium backgrounds and hardscapes in the tank. It's well established. Uh, RO and chemical are my only way to halt spreading. Alan, so I did a video called "Can Too Little of Light Cause Algae?" and did it about a month and a half ago. I would watch that video. I go over diatom algae very specifically, and diatomaceous algae, red algae, brown algae is very different than your stringy green algae, filamentous algae, or cyanobacteria, things like that. It's very different, and it is a lover of phosphates, for one. That's one thing. But if you're using RO water, you probably don't have a huge issue with that unless you're adding additives for plants that do have a ton of phosphate. Then the next issue is going to be nitrates. And so if it's not those two things, then usually it's light. And the problem there is going to be that you are not giving it enough light for the plants to grow. And the thing is that sometimes the plants don't have enough carbon or a trace nutrients of some sort, because plants are always limited. There's a limit thing called the limiting rule, and they're always limited by their lowest nutrients in their system. So if they're lacking manganese, but you need manganese to work, even if it's a trace amount, if they don't have any, that plant probably isn't going to be healthy. And so it doesn't matter if you have all the other things dialed in. So that's why you want like a well-balanced, either all-in-one or know what you're doing, and dose plants with some sort of root tab or liquid daily treatment or weekly treatment at least. And then you want enough light that those plants can grow. The biggest thing that usually happens, especially in these tall weird tanks, is you get crazy algae building up at the base. And that's because ambient light comes through the room and it starts growing even when your light's off. You only need the ambient light of a reading light, of an 60 to 80 watt like desk lamp, to grow algae. And it will grow when the plants are not able to. So that gives, basically, say your lights are on 8 hours a day for your plants. Well, then you've got 8 hours where your plants can't do anything with the nutrients, but maybe you've got 16 or 18 hours where your actual algae can use those, and so it's got double the growth, and it already grows faster than plants. So that's kind of the basis of the video, but it goes through a lot of those variables, and you kind of either have you're going to have either a phosphate, carbon, nitrogen. Those are going to be the three additives that really are going to affect things. And then light. In either you've got too dim of light and your plants, I mean, too dim of light while the plants are photosynthesizing, and too bright of light while it's supposed to be dark. Because if it's daytime and you just turn the lights off in the room, but you have a window anywhere in that room facing outside, there's a good chance that that ambient light is enough to grow algae. And so as long as it's daylight, plus however long your lights are on in your aquarium, that's how long they're going to have to be doing their thing. So it just makes it all the more likely that if anything is off balance, then you're going to have a problem. And once you start getting that established, that light, what do you call it? The diatomaceous algae and things like that, or even filamentous algae. Once you get a little, it's very easy for it to get to be all over. Now, the other thing that you really want to do is more water changes. Craig says this too. Right on, Craig. What more water changes will help get you out of that neck of the woods. And then, you know, if you're doing water changes like 2 or 3 times a week for a while, and making sure that the tank is either blacked out, or you can even put like a towel or cardboard around half the lower half of the tank or upper, wherever it's getting blasted by light when the main light's not on. Because if you've got algae, you need to either turn your light off and get your nutrient levels under control, or like I said, you need to turn the light intensity up and block out the other light. So it could be either end of the spectrum that causes algae. And that's why that video, Can Low Light Cause Algae, I think is a really good video. Maybe I'll pin it in the comments, but that's one that really, if you can understand that video, you'll say, oh, I get it. You'll get that it's all kind of, you've got like basically a switchboard and you've got 6 variables or something, and when you move one, it's going to move 1 or 2 of the other ones, and that video kind of tells you how they're all interlinked. And I think it's pretty helpful for a lot of people that have seen it. So Randy, my wife said the same thing. No more tanks in the house. So I got a porch pond. Loopholes. Yeah. I got 6, 7 porch ponds going right now. And she said no more at 2, but we just bought the house. I mean, she's not doing anything with it, so I'm doing it. I actually have not a bass, bluegill sitting in it right now, and I wish I could be at the house and just show you guys, but all right. Just checking in the comments. I don't know if I am seeing all right. If I missed your comment, always do the at Alex, or at Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, so it highlights it for me. It's very helpful. Oh, Father Fish, are you in here? I didn't see him pop up. And Holly, hello. I don't know if I said hi to you also. And Lady Diane. And Ames, what's up? If you don't mind asking, they seem like they'd be incredibly hard to keep in an aquarium setting. Father Fish, where did you collect them from? What did he collect? Now I gotta find that comment. I'm just curious now. M&C Aquatics, one of my old Metaframe tanks I use, diatomaceous earth filters waters, always clear. Yeah, diatomaceous earth, there's a whole lot of research and he said he's collected freshwater jellies. Right on. That's really cool. Yeah, are the freshwater ones also going to be like, hey, Jackson Tax, what's going on? How you doing? Is that also, do they also get stuck in the corners like most species, and they'll die if they don't have a circular area to swim? Like they get stuck and then get, I don't know, cramped or something? I don't know what happens. Maybe they don't get enough water through their gills. The other thing, while we're talking about that, is flow in these tanks that are weird shaped. When you have a really tall hex tank or a cylinder or a bow front, if it's just way taller than it is wide, you're gonna want to have some sort of power head, or what worked really well if you've got a bow front or something with some space on one of the axes, I guess you want to call it. You can do either, a lot of people like to do it in the center with like goldfish, but you can do it on the very back, and that is like with the bow front, it does great on the back, is just get a bubble wand. And the problem with that, I mean, that helps with flow. That is going to that's really going to help with pulling water towards where the air's coming in. Water gets pulled to wherever the bubbles are traveling. And if you think about it, it's kind of goes, water always kind of goes, you know, like a little bit of a whoop. Wait, I'm not doing it the right way. Whoop, like that. So if your bubbles are rising here, your water is going to get pulled up like this with the rising bubbles. And that'll pull from all the way across the tank. Same with sponge filter. So you can do a sponge filter dead smack in the center of a hex or something like that. Or you can try to do a matten filter that goes all the way up one of the sides. That's plenty of surface area. So you get lots of good nitrite, and ammonia control there. But you always want to make sure you got a decent filter on those tanks, because one, all your mulm is falling in one area, which, watch my video on gravel vacuuming, or why not to gravel vac unless you're like doing a bare glass bottom breeding tank, or if you're committed to doing it like twice a week, then you can gravel vac if you really want. But if you have plants and dirt, don't bother gravel vacuuming. Watch my video on that, and I explain pretty thoroughly why you only really want to take dead fish and dead plant material, which not all dead plant material, just, you know, big chunks of plants you can take out. That also removes the excess nitrates. But let's see here. Let's see here. No downvotes today. Oh, that is amazing. That's odd. Alex Roman says, we have 2 Romans in here. We got 2 Craigs in here. We had 2 Gingers in here. What types of Hillstream loach in the same tank, males and females, are interacting? Are there any chance they can hybrid? I have 2 different types. Not that I know of, like the butterfly loach, the Borneo spotted loach. So I know of 7 Hillstream loaches that are like rock cleaning type loaches, that none of those that I know of hybridize. However, the loaches that are free swimming, you know, like a yo-yo loach or something like that, or a border loach or zebra loach, I don't know the answer to that, honestly. You'd have to ask someone who knows more about loaches. I'm trying to think who would know. I mean, Father Fish may know. Mysterious Outdoors, by the way, welcome. I don't think I've said hello to you ever officially, period. So hello. Dragon Lair, what's going on? Hello. Thank you, Zen Ginger. Laura, hello. Thank you for posting the gravel vac video link there. If you guys are interested in the reasons why I don't gravel vac there, and then also the algae video. Oh, oh, I need to give you a call, buddy. Alexander, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nothing can help me here. It's just our power's out, and there's 90 houses that are out in my neighborhood right now. And of course it's like another 90-degree day. But this time I'm scalping the internet, the AC. Well, yeah, the internet, the AC, and the charging of my phone. So holy cow, thank you so much. A $200 super chat. So Alexander has been someone who I've spoken with, and he also helped with my AC in the house, which has been a godsend. I mean, I've been able to work so much more, honestly, on just reading and not going crazy and being like, I got to get out of here, which is great. So thank you. But the other thing is, he is a wise dude about the direction of the channel and you know, improving tech things and stuff like that. And so I hope to be talking with him more in the future. So I really appreciate that, man. I really do, especially because I don't want to whine or anything. I am so grateful for uh um so grateful for all of you guys just being here. But the views are down like 50%, and it's not just for me, it's for every fish tube. And then I was like, it must be just because some are slower for aquarium shops. I actually looked at the YouTube numbers. Views for YouTube are about down 40 to 50%. So I guess we're all feeling that pinch right now from the norm. But you guys have just been such a great community for the last few well, I mean, you guys have always been a great community, but the last few months, we hit some really high points. But I'm dedicated, you guys, to um, making the channel better in lots of ways. But you know, it started with some of the gear. Ironically, today I'm in the car again. But got the microphones now. Got the I think maybe I'm gonna get some better streaming software too, because I don't know. I want to do more interviews with university professors. I don't see enough of truly accredited and peer reviewed, which to me means a lot, in that your peers who also claim to be experts or have been dubbed experts agree that you are worthy of praise or that you're correct with your papers and things. And so I feel like those people always just kind of go in the shadows in our hobby. And so I I would just love it if um I could get more of them on the channel. Most of them think I have a YouTube channel that's like 5 red fish, and that's like what we're going to talk about, like, and not get into any detail. So I think when we had like Ivan on the other day, Ivan Mikolji, and you know, Rachel O'Leary, and some people like that, like I'm trying to build like at least once a month to have a guest who is somebody formidable in the hobby or in the sciences. And yeah, nerds. Yeah, we're the nerdy side of FishTube, and I want it to stay that way. Um, Obviously, we can put some better production value. You know, the other thing is I got a GoPro, and I've got all this footage right now of me because every morning I've been going out to collect wild fish, or take pictures of them and things like that. And if you're on the Facebook group NANFA, you will be inundated with crap that I've been taking pictures of and things. And the underwater GoPro footage I haven't uploaded anywhere yet, but I got some of that. Showed the gal who sent me her. She had a Gen 4 GoPro that she's like, I'm not going to use this, and I mean, it was so kind of her to send. She just sent me a GoPro a couple months back. So finally, we've been using that, and also tried mounting it on the net. And so I'm trying some new things, but it's going to take a minute to edit some of the new things. But yeah, so I'm trying to come up with some fun new stuff for the channel, visually or audibly. Like today, I wanted it to be, since I knew I'd be in the car about a half hour before we started here, I just decided, you know what, let's do an episode that essentially you could listen to as a podcast, you know? Alex, have you been seeing a lot of dead fry? Yes. A ton. I've been seeing sticklebacks, and any salmonid species and trout species I encounter look haggard. I mean, it's too hot. It was 84 degrees in the lake by my house. According to an old guy who lives on the lake, he said that the highest he'd ever seen it get was 72 in the past. And because it's like got a creek running through it. And Lake Washington will get to like 76 maybe in the heat of summer in the top 3 feet. But I mean, if you're not in a deep lake, like 30, 50, probably 50 feet, they're seeing temperatures that they just can't escape. Electro Fry says, I suspect people are leaving YouTube for other platforms due to censorship and shady stuff Google is doing. Yeah, you know, I do understand that too, and I do. We're talking, me and other people, other friends, other creators, people like Sean Pektek, um, about like not and Father Fish and I too, about having a Discord for the channel. That's a big one, but also doing what's the other Twitch, things like that. So there might be, I don't know, we might try to launch more things, like especially for the interviews. That way they don't need to be, we don't need to worry about censors, or I don't know. I just, yeah. So um yeah, there is a little bit about that. Like, I mean, just because I mentioned when we were talking about Colombia, Ivan and I, because I mentioned one of the groups of guys with boom boom sticks in the forest, it flagged my video and like demonetized it. Which that I don't care if they demonetize it. I care if they don't tell you guys that it was ever made, which is what happens when they demonetize it usually. They don't show it to many people, or they only show it to people who actually come and click on your videos like without prompting a few times a month. Yeah, if you haven't hit that like button, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Also, oh wow, Stanley Park is closed. Wow, up in BC because of fire danger. I know they're saying the wind's gonna change, and it's supposed to get, so right now in Seattle, can you guys, no, you guys can't tell what it's doing outside, but it is hazy. I mean, it's getting hazy. I still see blue sky, but it looks like there's a haze tonight. And in years past, it's gotten so bad we couldn't even see down the block. I mean, we got to highly dangerous smoke levels, and all that. Yeah, plus this causes some creators to do self-censorship, which is also a problem. I agree. Um, I do self-censorship to the degree where I'm not gonna like cuss, but part of that's just because I want people who don't appreciate that or aren't comfortable with that to feel welcome. Um, did I feel the earthquake? When was there an earthquake? There was the big Alaska one. We had a little one. We had a 4.0 that I felt like a week ago, but did we just have one or something? I didn't hear about it. If so, our power's out anyways, so my wife probably couldn't tell me about it. Well, or she, yeah, she hasn't texted. So, um, any case, so back to aquarium. Sorry, you guys, your questions always get me. I just want to chat with all of you, like, individually. Like, hey, let's go have a chat. Let's get a drink, whatever. I'll have a Dr. Pepper. Aquaballs, what's up, George? Good to see you, buddy. Um, Guys, I want to shine a little light on Aquaballs. He does ball python breeding and a lot of fish spawning and breeding, and um, he's gotten really good at taking care of fish and getting them to make more little fish. So a big shout out to him. Definitely a big shout out to him. He's always been a big supportive of the channel also. Um, 8 miles from Mount Vernon yesterday, according to Google search. Oh, only a 2.7 magnitude. Oh, yeah. That one I didn't feel, I'm sure. There was a bigger one a while ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But yeah, there was a big 8.2 right off the coast of Alaska, and there was a tsunami advisory for about an hour, and then they lifted it, and it never became a threat or alert. So, yeah, check it out on my Instagram account. Says George Aquaballs. So back to weird tanks. To kind of, does anybody have questions, like specifically, like, are you dealing with a problem in your weird tank? Because that might help me use the time best. I'm gonna turn my truck on here a minute, just the AC again. It's about 86 degrees, I think. So it's probably hotter than that in my truck at this point. But okay. recently got a, wait, Jackson, Texas. I recently got a bowfront corner tank. It is deep, waiting to set it up. Yeah, bowfront corner. Those are cool. They're like the triangle with one side. They are neat, the corner tanks. Definitely get a little razor blade. Try to find a tool. I would advise you to get a tool that can turn 90 degrees, or, well, no, a 180, I guess. Is it 180? No, 90. 90 degrees. I was right the first time. Get something with an oscillating head or a ratcheting head that'll turn 90 degrees. You can get that, like, stuff for reaching up into the engine. Now they make all sorts of crazy, like, octopus arm tools and stuff. But get something like that with the razor blade on it. If you do need to get the algae off there, you want to use the razor blade, though, upright if you can, because if you have it side to side, you miss the middle because of the curve of the tank, unless it's a real big bow front. So that's another one that I feel like is really helpful. I'm having deja vu, man. Alexander, thank you so much, buddy. Let's talk again. Alex, any tricks for recording a video on bow fronts? The Flex takes great photos for me, struggles with the video. Yeah, Richard. I don't have a lot of good tips other than pick a side, buddy, or stand back and just film the whole thing at night with bright spotlights in it. That's how my old videos on the 40 bow front that I've got at home were done. It's tough. If you have any secondary light sources other than a point source like circular or diffuse, that's where your angle of view is from, you're gonna get it on that bow front from somewhere. Even if it just comes through, that curve usually acts like a prism between that and the 290-degree angles also. And for me, I find putting a black piece of paper or vellum, like that, which is paper basically. I mean, it's just a nice kind, made with strands of different types of fiber, but and sheep byproduct. But you can also use even just like a tablecloth or a quilt or something like that too, and cut it, or foam, egg crate, and then put cardboard if light shines through the foam, whatever. There's lots of different things you can do. Oh, nice. Jackson Tax is getting a bunch of baby rice fish for your 280-gallon tanks. Holy cow. I don't know how many. You could fit probably 500 in each one easily, like no problem. That's really cool. My rice fish have not been having any luck this season outside. I don't know if they're eating their babies, but I'm going to try a new strategy when August hits if I don't see any babies. My barbs, my paradise fish, they've all laid eggs and had babies now and everything. But yeah, kind of odd. Alison, what's going on? I had 4 bow fronts over the past 15 years. 3 out of the 4 had center braces separating. 2 72-gallon and a 46-gallon. Yeah, the 46 is the one I have. And it does have a center brace at the top. But at that size, you've got a big enough curve that you can go to the left or the right and kind of just only get half the tank if you're just trying to get a fish or a few fish. And it gives you kind of this cool effect in a lot of those bow fronts. If you've got something blocking the backside, it feels a way deeper than it really is because that front angle, and it almost kind of does a fisheye effect for you. The key is just to turn that light off and turn off any secondary light sources or tertiary light sources too, for sure. But let's see, what else do we have here? I'm starting to make a lot of orange rice fish. Average fish keeper. Right on. Orange cap are also starting to produce. Yeah, my orange caps died. 2 of them died out of the 6. and I have one female, and she's not producing. So I moved them back inside. Hopefully, I can get some eggs. I've gotten a lot rice fish down to just a male and a female many times. Um, I use a sponge filter sponge to clean my bowfront. Yeah, those are pretty coarse. You can definitely, like, Aquarium Co-op sells a nice coarse sponge filter. You could definitely use that. It's curved. Get like a large one, and you can use that to scrub. Medium might even work too. Probably medium would work too. If you don't have, if it's the 46 gallons or less, get a medium one. Uh, but let's see. Secret history. What was that? What's the likelihood of joining a Discord with a couple of fish tubers already? Um, Likely. I'll probably do it. It's just right now. So right now the thing is, I've got the Instagram. I've got two Instagrams because I also have an art Instagram, graphic design Instagram. I've got two websites for my graphic design and then my fine art. Then I've got the secret history Instagram. I've got a Twitter that I don't do anything with this on, more just art and personal stuff. Then we've got the group on Facebook, and then we've got Patreon. Then we've got my emails, which are blown up every day usually. And then we've got my private texts that Patreon and just people who've supported that I try to help out when I can. So as much as I love helping as many people as I can with stuff, I just feel like, oh my gosh, I think I counted it up. I had 13 different places that I checked for comments daily when I put that all together. So I was just like, man, I can't run another one like usefully. Now, if somebody wants to run it, I can come and check in on it. And if somebody else wants to take it away and build like different topics, subtopics, or repost what's going on the channel, I would love that. That would be great. But that's just a lot of work for someone to take on, and I don't want to put that on someone, so I haven't, really talked about it. But yeah. Oh, nice. Nice, Jax. Blue and white. Nice. Uh, what did I miss? I feel like I missed another one. Yeah, Discord can take over a lot of it, but a lot of people that are not okay, so I might be wrong here, but I feel like tech savvy people or people in a hobby, like a niche hobby, they know what Discord is, or gamers, but nobody who's square, like my wife or whatever, me, knows anything about it other than those things. So, and then like you get to my parents, and it's like someone over 60, rarely. Like Father Fish, it's like crazy that he does all these, he keeps up with everything. It's such props to him for that. Because you're lucky I'm not running this from MySpace with the way I interact with tech stuff sometimes. It's like another thing I have to learn too. Yeah, the thing is that I do work a lot with Aquarium Guys and Aquarium Guys podcast, and with Father Fish. Like I come and chat in the mornings frequently. I used to do a lot more, but his time's like 5 a.m. my time. So that's one where maybe we can all kind of link up, and that would work. That would work for the Discord. I do feel like it's getting bigger and bigger in that sense. And no, Aquarium Guys, actually, we've talked about kind of teaming up more. In fact, Rob's and I have plans. It's been a crazy couple weeks, but Rob's and I have plans to do a kind of another show, actually. Um, I'd be on your top 8. Right on. Thank you. Christina Whitaker. I know I don't understand a lot of Discord. I agree. Um, I don't understand a lot of the functionality or like what the point of like adding 30 emojis to things are. I'm like, I don't even know what a burrito means or whatever. So whatever. But I know I need to learn, and it's kind of one of those things that like Zen Ginger, I feel like Discord is easy to get like just a comment on. It's real weird when you start like streaming and like having like 5 or 6 other people asking you to do multimedia stuff or to like be in some like private thing. And I don't know, I start getting lost quickly on like, wait, who's seeing what now? But yes. By the way, Alex, I'm getting a Hex 30 gallons tank from Anthony Fishy Friends. Oh, right on. Um, yeah, like I was saying, I was just gonna say I wanted to end on a note with like maybe some ideas for stocking. Like, let's just assume you got a big enough tank, you can put whatever the heck you want in it. But I think the best thing to do is to um definitely get a community tank or a species tank. If you have a species, you know, quarries are an interesting one. If you have enough rocks and stuff, they'll actually nest up on rocks. Pufferfish, awesome for hex tanks. They'll cruise all over, up and down. They're great for hex tanks. If as long as they have like double, well, triple, 10 times their body length to turn around. Like I'm thinking Amazon or figure 8 or pea puffers. I'm thinking small ones. But putting a group of them in one works really well. And they're fun, they're dynamic. Um, and let's see here. Send Ginger. Oh, I meant it was easy for your members and subscribers, not you. Yeah, no. It probably is easier than I'm letting it out to be. It's just, you know, lots of things going on and old dogs, new tricks, things like that. Yeah, yes, I agree. Rob's does a really good job taking stuff from the Discord and using it on their show. And he's was smart in that he never built all the other platforms really. I mean, he built them after the Discord. So the Discord was like where he built everything. Whereas here, I'm gonna have to get people on to Discord, which is more of a task. I know a lot of people have already been led there by other people or people they're into. Pea puffers do eat cherry shrimp, but if they're adult cherry shrimp, and you feed your pea puffers well, it's usually okay as long as there's lots of hiding spots and a good amount of shrimp. But they'll sometimes just go on a rampage and kill every shrimp they see. I've seen that happen twice now in my tanks. Pea puffers are a very fickle creature. I've had some pea puffers that are sweet as can be and lead the group, and if they're the dominant one that's leading the group, the rest of the group's really chill. And then I've also had some that literally will kill other pea puffers and kill. I had one that stressed out a crib so bad. I mean, I moved it. They stressed it out so bad, and it nipped at its fins. And within a month, that crib that was a young crib, like half grown, that crib died. It had a bacterial infection that I had to treat, and then it had a fungal infection, and then it's just it all stemmed because the puffer was picking on it. So yeah. But that being said, I've also had peacock gudgeons and bettas and cribs and pea puffers all in and a few tetras all in the same 40-gallon bow front. So it's doable. You need a lot of plants, but I would recommend getting quick growing plants. They're going to suck up a lot of nitrates, which is good in those tall tanks. And I would recommend also something like a sawasser tongue or moss for the bottom. And then you can use Anubias, Java fern, or Bucephalandra are all great. Now they're not going to take hardly any nutrients out of the water for you or waste, but they do look good halfway up a tank. You know, you can mount them on a little suction cup clasp or on a little fake rock or on a piece of wood. And that's what's great about those. You can bring them right up. Bulbitis is another one that's great. African fern, Asian fern, the Asian bulbitis, another good one. Yeah, murder bean, exactly. And let's see here. Christina says, see, time is my problem. I work up to 10-day stretches, up to 13 hours a day, and fish and film with my husband and take care of my home and fish 15 tanks. After all that, I collapse. Yeah, that's a lot. Bravo for handling even that. Dragon Lair says, local store had pea puffers with neon tetras. Not one neon had a tail fin after 2 days. I definitely believe that. If you're gonna do little fish with pea puffers, you need some big scary fish in there to break it up. You know, pea puffers are not scared of much though. I've seen pea puffers in an Oscar tank, like with young Oscars, and even with like a 2-inch Oscar, they won't back down. They have no concept of how big they are. They just crack me up. All right. So yeah, I know I'm going and getting pushed that way towards the Discord, and I know Mr. Gromby, thank you, buddy. I'm really grateful that you've offered to kind of help me figure things out on there too. So I probably will take you up on that, but I'm definitely gonna wait till after summer stuff kind of settles down. Or rather, it's going to get very slow in August. I have this strange feeling. So probably the end of August. If it occurs soon, it will be then that I would set that up. But the thing I don't want to do is set it up and then neglect it. You know, I'd feel bad about that. But I agree. You know, even if it's just the fact that yeah, I just don't want to waste anyone's time. I was gonna say, you know, if I set it up and other people used it, I mean, I feel bad that I don't check on the Facebook every single day. I mean, I try to, but and then if someone else is already answering the question well, I leave it be. And that's kind of got to be the new standard here out. And that's why I really appreciate it when knowledgeable people are helping out other people. Now, if the answer is wrong and it's not just a wrong opinion, you know, if it's an opinion, I'll let it go. If it's wrong because of the science, that's when sometimes I'll interject. And I don't mean to be, I mean, I've gotten the science wrong on things too. So I don't mean anything disrespect by it. I just want to get the right info for all of our sakes to each other. So let's see here. Yeah, you're getting rid of your 37-gallon. 30 by 12 by 22 just feels too tall for the footprint. Yeah, Joe, that's I know what you mean. Anything near 2 feet tall, unless it's like a 100-gallon, 120-gallon, it feels pretty tall. That even if the bow front, the 46-gallon bow front feels really tall. The 37-gallon bow fronts feel even taller proportionally because they're not as wide. Even though they're not as deep either, but they're really, they're like to my armpit to get to the bottom of the substrate. And I'm 6 foot tall, so yeah. Mr. Grombie, yes, you're not a nobody. Well, I appreciate you wanting to grow the community. I do really appreciate that. And the thing is that, like, I feel like when we have sections, we've got some people that are kind of tight knit on the Facebook group. We've got other people that are aquascapers that are on the Instagram. I've got people in the native fish group, not mine or anything, you know, Nanfa's group on Facebook that are all into native fish, you know. and they're kind of different cliques within the channel that still chat with each other. So maybe that's not the worst thing that can happen. It's just I feel like I like having central places like the community tab, you know, ideally, or whatever, someplace to get to people, and get you guys the info that you so desperately don't need, but I want to give you. Let's see here. Planted Rotala, Bangladesh from a tissue cultured. The stream can't wait until it grows. Yeah, if you got CO2 natural aquariums, use it. That one likes CO2 and good light and daily ferts. That Bangladesh one, Atra's probably a little more finicky than that one, and Wallachia probably is the worst, other than the Florida Rosavig one, Sunset or whatever. Is that what it's called? No, Florida Rosevig, yeah, Roservig. I don't know. That one just never grows. Just takes like 6 months to grow an inch, but it's a beautiful plant for the Rotala. But yeah, the CO2 will definitely help. It's not 100% needed, but then highlight is with those ones. To get anything other than dense little green nubbins. And with a tissue culture, I just haven't had the best luck with those actual cutting. If you don't have CO2 or a good light, the actual cuttings seem to do much better. Well, I need to sign off. I'm already running over my allotted time for Griff, and I apologize for that. Just saw that. Perfect, natural aquarium. But thank you guys so much. Alexander, thank you. Danikin, thank you. Oh, who gave the first super chat? I shouldn't have called out names without remembering them all. But thank you guys very, very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Sorry about the really weird live stream location, but I really appreciate it. We can talk more in the comments if you have questions. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night. I'm gonna see if I have my power back yet, hopefully, or my internet or anything. And I will talk to you guys later. Yeah, thank you guys for being you, lurkers, mods. You guys rock, all of you, and thanks for being the community that you guys are. It's really touching. It means a lot to me that you guys come here twice a week or once a week or whatever you manage to do that works out for you. Yeah, so all right, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful evening, and I will be having a romantic candle lit sitting there in the dark with my wife, probably. I asked the power guys while I was driving up here, because I found where they were, and they're working on the main vault on the street, and I was like, hey, you guys figure out what it is yet? This was at 6:30. The power went out at 11 in the morning, and they were like, well, and the guy goes, don't BS him. No, we don't know yet. So that was an hour and a half ago or whatever. So I don't have much hope that it'll be fixed when I get home. But all right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. GRB, Randy, Jinja, good to see you. Caleb, good night as well. Jubilishin, good night. Good night to everyone. Ho, ho, ho. Griff's Fish Tanks is up next, probably now. And he's probably chilling if you want to go over there, guys. I gotta go figure out, yeah, because it's 86 degrees again, and the house is probably 90 degrees, and I have no air or anything in the fish tanks, so I might need to start throwing ice in them. I got a video on that if you're curious about that, but I'll make another one if I have to deal with anything tonight. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.